From beggar to millionaire, the black woman who defied odds like Elon Musk and Donald Trump. The headline blared across every screen. From beggar to millionaire, the black woman who defied odds like Elon Musk and Donald Trump. It sounded crazy, impossible. But here she was, Maya, a woman nobody saw coming. Once broke, forgotten in some run-down neighborhood, clutching at scraps just to survive. Now, the very name Maya sent waves through the city's richest streets. How did she pull it off? Whispers said she was a classical music prodigy who could make a piano weep. The kind of talent that made kings and queens of sound jealous. But life didn't hand her kindness. There were stories, too wild to be true, of lost concerts, desperate nights on cold benches, running from shadows of a past she refused to share. Some said she had connections that stretched beyond the music world. Others hinted at secrets so deep they would ruin the powerful. And then, out of nowhere, Maya became the talk of the elite neighborhoods, where the streets gleam with fresh paint and the air smells like promise and money. She started teaching piano in a circle that no one from her old life could imagine stepping into. That's when Eli stepped in. Eli, the no-nonsense tech mogul with a fortune built on sharp deals and even sharper words. He's the kind of man who gets what he wants without asking twice. His son, growing up in the golden lap of privilege, eyes trained on a path paved by wealth and dominance. Maya, despite her reluctance, agreed to tutor Eli's son. She knew this wasn't just about music lessons. It was a collision, not just of notes and timing, but of worlds. A chance to light a fire in a boy who'd only ever known privilege as a golden cage. The first sessions crackled with tension. Eli's son didn't understand her rhythms. He resented her voice, the truth she carried about hard life and real struggle. But against the sound of Maya saw the fight in his eyes, the pull between his father's orders and the strange pull of someone who wasn't afraid to show skin and soul. Then the bomb dropped. A scandal from Maya's past exploded into the open. A messy, ugly thing scribbled in yellowed papers and whispered rumors. Eli's jaw clenched as his world threatened to crack. Doubt slithered into his thoughts like poison. Was she really the role model she claimed to be? Was the past something better left buried? The neighborhood turned into a storm of gossip. Behind closed doors, eyes darted, tongues wagged, jaws dropped. Maya felt the weight crush her chest. The ambitions she fought for twisted and tangled with the suspicion aimed right at her skin. Eli wrestled with his pride and fears, the hard edges of his mind softening, but only just. Maybe his son could learn more from Maya than he ever will. Maybe, just maybe, the walls built from money weren't the safest places after all. And then, something unexpected, an old letter hidden deep in Maya's belongings surfaced. Words scratched out in black ink, secrets threatening to undo everything. A story reached across time, holding the power to shatter lives. Hers, Eli's, his son's, all tangled in music and truth. What will they do when the music stops? When the past doesn't stay silent? You want to find out what happens next, right? Hang tight. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And since you're here, drop a powerful like. That really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and let me know in the comments. What city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. The tension in the room was electric. Maya held the old letter in her trembling hands, its weight heavier than anything she had faced. Eli's son sat across from her, his gaze darting between her and his father, confusion flickering like a candle about to go out. As the world outside buzzed with gossip, her truth lay exposed, ready to unravel everything. Suddenly, there was a loud knock on the door, sharp, jarring. Eli jumped, and the moment shattered. Maya's heart raced. Who could that be? Before anyone could respond, the door swung open, and a woman burst in. "Eli!" she cried, breathless. Her voice cut through the air like a knife. "You need to see this, now!" Maya's stomach dropped. The woman was familiar. Sarah, Eli's business partner. The one with razor-sharp instincts and a nose for scandal. "Your father, he's been hiding something," Sarah panted, pulling a document from her bag. "We need to discuss it together." "What do you mean?" Eli snapped, his face drawn tight. "This isn't the time." Maya's heart pounded harder. Whatever Sarah had could tip the balance of everything they built. The room shrank, the air thick with unspoken truths. "This isn't just about Maya's past," Sarah continued, her voice low but urgent. "It's about yours, too. It's about lineage. Look!" She thrust the document toward Eli. His eyes widened as he scanned the paper, his face paling. "No, it can't be." "What is it?" Maya's voice wavered, fear creeping in. The shock coursed through her, rooting her to the spot. She didn't want the walls to close in around her again. "It's a family tree," Eli whispered. "A dispute over a company?" His voice broke. "Our family is connected through the mother I never knew." Maya inhaled sharply, confusion swirling. "Connected how?" Eli turned to her, his dark eyes reflecting horror. "There's a name that shouldn't be here, a name linked to you." The room fell silent. The tension was now palpable, a thick fog of uncertainty. "What are you saying?" Maya stammered, her throat tightening. "What name?" "Your mother, Maya," Eli said, his voice almost a whisper. "She's listed here, and if what this says is true, it means we're connected." Maya felt the ground shift beneath her. The truth she had fought to bury now loomed large. "No!" she gasped, shaking her head violently. "It can't be! This isn't possible!" But Sarah pressed on, urgency filling her voice. "It gets worse. There's a reason people were after your family. They were tied to something big, something dangerous, Maya. Your mother's legacy, it's laced with shadows. Hard truths that could explode everything." Maya felt a lump rise in her throat. Eli looked distraught, caught in a whirlwind of emotions. Suddenly, the air felt thick and suffocating. All the pride she'd built, the dreams she'd fought for, were now laced with a past she didn't want to confront. Maya's mind raced. What did this mean for her and Eli? For his son? Everything they thought they knew was unraveling like a poorly stitched seam. And then it hit her. If there were ties between their families, what battles lay ahead? Would Eli's world embrace the truth, or would it reject her, just like everyone else had? As the question swirled, the music of her life began to rise and fall, a dissonant melody that echoed through the dark hallways of her mind. Would they survive this revelation? Would they even want to? Somewhere in the chorus of fear, hope flickered like a dying flame. Answers lingered just out of reach, waiting for the next note to strike. Maya stood in her dimly lit apartment, staring at the letter. The weight of its words crushed her chest, and she could hardly breathe. Eli's son had come to trust her, to believe in her teachings. But now this letter threatened to unravel everything she had built. She glanced around. Her world suddenly a storm of shadows. Then a sharp knock on the door broke the silence. She froze. Who could it be? Eli? His father? The gossipers? She hesitated, heart racing, before slowly turning the knob. Her breath hitched in her throat as she opened the door to reveal a young woman. Wild hair framing a nervous face. It was Lena, Maya's sister, the one she had left behind when she clawed her way out of despair. Maya! Lena's voice trembled. You need to come with me. It's urgent. Lena, what are you doing here? Confusion mingled with fear. Please, I can't explain now. Just trust me. Lena's eyes darted around as if they were being watched. Maya's got twisted. She had fought too hard to let the past back into her life. But the panic in her sister's voice pulled her in. Fine, just give me a moment, Maya said, grabbing her coat. As they stepped out into the cold night, the city felt alive around them, but Maya's heart sank. They hurried through the dark alleys, sketching hurried lines of whispered conversations and cautious glances. Suddenly, Lena stopped. We can't stay here long. I found out something about the past, she panted, struggling to get the words out. Maya's breath hitched again. What are you talking about? I don't just mean your past, Lena said, voice trembling. It's about Eli's family. They're tied to ours in ways you never knew. What? How is that possible? Lena hesitated, then reached into her bag, pulling out an old, weathered photograph. Look, she said, thrusting it forward. It was faded, but unmistakable. Eli's father, standing proudly beside their mother, arms around each other, grinning. Maya's mind raced. But how? They don't know? No, they don't. But it gets worse. You're not just connected through distant family ties. You're both part of a secret. Lena's voice was a frantic whisper, eyes wide with fear and urgency. What are you saying? Maya felt the ground drop beneath her. Everything she knew shattered. The music lessons, the trust she had built, the hints of her own past, they all hung precariously on this new revelation. Ellie's family, they took something from our family a long time ago, something precious. And now it's time to confront it. They can't keep hiding behind money any longer. Every word slammed into Maya like heavy fists. The mistrust, the judgment of her past, it all felt cloudy, confusing. The eyes of the neighborhood echoed in her mind. And now, with this secret untangling, who could she trust? As Lena spoke of long-buried resentment and shadows of old, the weight of the letter in Maya's pocket grew heavier. Then, a scream pierced the night, a sound that froze her blood. Maya spun around, dread pooling in her stomach as they rounded the corner. A crowd had gathered, phones raised, capturing the moment. Her heart pounded violently. Could this be connected? There, in the pale light, a figure lay still, an unconscious body wrapped in chaos. It was Eli's son, crumpled on the pavement. What happened? Maya's voice was breathless. Panic scratched at her throat. Lena clutched her arm. We need to leave. Now. But Maya didn't move. She was stuck, face to face with a decision that could change everything. Her past, Eli's world, and the boy who trusted her. Each thread in her life tingled with danger. Nothing was as it seemed. Secrets rippled through the air as the sirens wailed in the distance. Would the truth bring them together, or tear them apart? Maya's heart raced, and she knew deep down, nothing would ever be the same again. Maya stood frozen, eyes wide, as the sirens wailed in the distance. The crowd grew, shadows shifting against the streetlights, casting a monstrous scene. Eli's son lay on the pavement, and every pulse of fear rattled through her. Panic clawed at her throat. Move! Lena urged, tugging at Maya's arm, desperate to break the trance holding her in place. But Maya couldn't pull away. What happened? Her voice cracked, lost in the chaos. She pushed through the crowd, each step heavy, dread pulling her downward. The boy's stillness screamed. Then she spotted a glimmer on the ground. A small object glinted under the streetlight. Instinct drove her closer. She knelt, brushing her fingers against the cold surface. A silver locket. Her breath hitched. As she opened it, a faded image stared back at her. A black and white photograph of a woman. Familiar, yet distant. No, Maya's heart thudded violently. The resemblance was undeniable. Come on, Maya, we need to go! Lena's voice sliced through her focus. But the weight of the locket held her in thrall. Maya? Lena sounded frantic now, pulling at her again. What is that? I think it's my mother, Maya whispered, trembling. And then it crashed down on her. Her mother's past wasn't just her burden. It was entwined with Eli's world, with Eli himself. The song of uncertainty swelled around her. Before she could voice the thought, a figure soared through the throng, the sound of frantic footsteps making the crowd part like the sea. A woman emerged, wild-eyed and breathless. Eli, she shouted, cutting through the murmurs. We have to go! They're looking for you! Who? Eli's voice thundered, cutting through the noise. He surged forward, panic etched on his features. Your father, the woman gasped. He's in trouble. They just found out he's been lying. It's a setup, Eli. You need to leave now. Maya's heart sank. Whatever was happening could blow the lid off everything. Leave? Eli whispered, the weight of reality dawning on him, face paling. He looked at Maya, desperation etched across his brow. What did you get me involved in? I don't know, Maya shouted, struggling against the memories clawing at her mind. But I don't want either of us involved in whatever this is. The murmurs swelled again. Is he all right? Someone murmured helplessly. Call an ambulance! Maya's focus shifted back to Eli's son, crumpled on the ground. How had they gotten here? Your family, it's worse than we thought, the woman continued, breathing hard. this isn't just about your father's mistakes. It's about a war that started years ago, before you were even born. Eli's eyes widened. What are you talking about? Your father is connected to everything. The secrets, the hidden money, it's all tied to Maya's family and the crime ring they thought they could bury. They wanted revenge. An icy grip choked Maya. The shadows of her past were not just hers anymore. They were Eli's, too. A dark web spun between them, tightening with every moment. Eli staggered back, as if struck, eyes darting between the boy on the ground and the woman before him. This can't be happening! I won't let it! Before he could finish, sirens howled closer, the police lights flashing like trapdoors snapping shut. The crowd thickened, separating Maya and Eli into a fog of chaos. Suddenly, Lena pulled Maya aside, searching her eyes. We have to move, now! If they find out more, we're not safe! But as they tried to slip away, Maya's heart lurched. She couldn't leave. She couldn't leave Eli's son like this. And yet the truth loomed larger, heavier. What about him? Maya cried, desperation rising. We can't just abandon him. Lena's grip tightened. We won't, but if Eli's father has done something that ties us all together, staying here could cost us everything. The crowd rippled with uncertainty, whispers of danger swirling around them. But then Maya felt a sudden shift, the world crashing sideways as Eli fell to the ground beside his son, face paled, gasping for air. Maya, what if? His voice faltered, a shadow of fear mixing with his disdain. Everything slammed to a halt. Was this the consequence of their twisted history? The connection that chained their lives together in ways they barely understood? Or had their pasts been written by forces beyond their control, awakening here in a flash of horror? And just like that, Maya's whole world twisted, leaving her gasping, hollowed out with questions that consumed her. What had they really unleashed? What ties could lead to salvation or destruction? The old letter sat on the table, dusty and heavy with secrets. Maya held it with trembling hands, her heart racing. What could it say? All the possibilities whirled in her mind like a storm, threatening to pull her under. Eli, standing across from her, could feel the tension buzzing in the air, like a string stretched to its limit, ready to snap. Open it, he urged, eyes dark with concern. She looked at him, her chest tight, unsure if she wanted to unearth whatever lay inside. But the weight of his gaze anchored her. It was madness, but also a test, a chance to confront the truth. With a shaky breath, she tore it open. The paper cracked like a distant thunderclap. Words jumped out at her. Family, betrayal, fortune. And then one name hit her like a bolt. Elijah. Her breath caught. It couldn't be. Eli blinked at her, confusion etched on his face. What? What does it say? The urgency in his voice pulled her back from the edge. She read, her eyes darting, heart pounding louder. Shock twisted her expression. Doubt, horror, realization. Maya, he prompted, already sensing the shift in the atmosphere. The letter detailed a lineage she never thought would resurface, a hidden connection to Eli's family, buried under years of shame and separation. I'm Elijah's sister, she stammered. the truth bursting from her lips in a rush. Silence enveloped them, as if the world had stopped turning. Ellie's mouth fell open, his brows knitting together, disbelief evident en every lana de su cara. The neighborhood around them melted away. Only their thudding hearts echoed. "What?" he whispered, processing the revelation. "That can't be. How?" But Maya was lost. The man before her, the ambitious mogul she respected, was tied to a past she thought was behind her. Memories flooded back, hot and suffocating, of a family torn apart by neglect and betrayal. The sense of safety that once surrounded her shattered, replaced by a cold chill creeping down her spine. The weight of the world crashed into her. Here she was, a musician, a teacher, a woman who clawed her way back from shadows. And yet she'd been shackled by the shackles of her bloodline. The old rumors of a family curse flashed across her mind. Could the secrets buried within this letter lead to her downfall? Your father was... She hesitated, pulse racing, eyes glossing over the details. My father was your father's brother. A gasp echoed from the kitchen, where Eli's wife had entered, holding a dish towel, eyes wide as dinner plates. "What's happening?" she cried, glancing between them, confusion morphing into something more potent. Fear? Accusation? Maya felt the heat rising to her cheeks. "It's complicated," she said quickly, desperation creeping into her voice. "I found this letter. It connects our families." A collective tension gripped the room as gasp after gasp echoed about the household. Eli's son, who'd sat quietly at the piano before, now stood at the door, eyes darting between the adults with curiosity and dread. The air crackled with unspoken judgment. Before Eli could respond, the doorbell rang. It was an urgent, frantic noise that broke through the charged atmosphere. The maid hurried to answer it, but Maya's heart sank. She knew that sound all too well, the kind of interruption that changed everything. And then they appeared. A figure stepped inside, familiar, yet foreign. An old friend, or perhaps a foe. Recognition ripped through Maya like a knife. "You," she breathed out in shock, the name locked in her throat. The stranger stood in the doorway with a smirk, holding a stack of papers that glimmered ominously in the light. All tension skidded to a stop. The room held its breath, waiting. How would this twist unfold? What lay hidden behind those words? And which truth would they face next? The old letter lay heavy in Maya's hands, the paper worn with age, edges crumpled like forgotten dreams. She could feel the blood drain from her face, a cold wave crashing over her. It was as if every secret she'd buried came rushing back, knocking the breath out of her lungs. Eli watched, confusion etched on his features. "What's wrong?" He took a step closer, the rich wood of his office desk feeling like a barrier between them. His son, barely a teenager, sat on the couch, fidgeting, lost in the tension filling the air like a storm ready to break. Maya didn't know how to speak. Words tangled in her throat. She opened the letter slowly, the fragile paper, whispering secrets of a life she thought she had locked away. Each sentence felt like a knife twisting deeper. It was a story of betrayal, love, and finally, an accusation that threatened to shred her every accomplishment. I had to protect you. I had to keep you away from him. Tears blurred her vision, but she forced herself to finish. You must not let him find you. He's dangerous, Maya. Promise me. The room spun. Eli stepped forward, eyes wide. What were you talking about? The silence hung heavy, invasive. Maya swallowed hard, her heart pounding like a feral drum. Would he see her truth? The very part of her that had clawed through nights of survival and uncertainty? Your mother? Eli pressed, his voice rising in incredulity. Who is this about? What does it matter? She snapped, a sudden spike of fierce anger coursing through her. I made something of myself. I broke free. But the weight of the letter crushed her, every word a reminder of chains she thought long gone. Eli's son shifted uneasily, caught in a web he didn't understand, eyes darting between them. He felt the tension coiled tighter, a silence filled with unasked questions. Then came the phone ringing, jolting them all back to reality. Eli's face fell to a mask of dread as he answered. What do you mean? No, I'm coming. His voice trembled, shifting the air like a sudden gust through an open window. That? The son called out, confused. Genuine concern beginning to etch his features. But Eli slammed the phone back down, fear reflecting in those sharp eyes. There's been an accident at Maya's old apartment building. A chill swept through the room. What kind of accident? He ran his hands through his hair, urgency rippling in every movement. Someone was killed. The police are on their way. They mentioned... His voice dropped. They mentioned your name. Maya felt her heart stutter, dread filling every crevice of her mind. My name? Why would I be connected to this? Eli's gaze bore into her, searching for answers in shadows he couldn't grasp. The weight of the world pressed on his shoulders, and anger surged back, mingling with confusion. You need to tell me everything, now! Her eyes widened, the truth swirling like a vortex. Secrets that were supposed to stay buried clawed back to life. And at that moment, she saw the panic bleed into Eli's son, the naive boy, staring at the exchange with uncertainty. The potential future they both stood to lose, hanging dangerously in the balance. As Maya opened her mouth to speak, despair lodged in her throat like a stone. How could she explain the life she had? The one that went from melody to madness. In that heavy moment, with all eyes on her, she felt the walls closing in. It was time to either reveal her darkest horrors or allow the past to spill into the present like an uncontainable fire. What would the truth unleash? And could anything ever be the same once they faced it? This time, the silence felt louder than ever as the weight of that old letter settled heavy in her hands. Maya could feel the entire world shifting. The words weren't just ink on paper. They were fire, threatening to ignite everything she had worked to build. Eli, watching her closely, wrestled with his thoughts. What did this mean for his son? Would this scandal unravel the fragile bond growing between them? She took a breath, feeling the tightness in her chest. A tiny flame of anger flickered. How could the past be so relentless? Didn't she deserve a chance to rewrite her story? But just as she opened her mouth to speak, a loud crash interrupted the moment. The front door burst open. Shadows spilled into the room. A group of hooded figures stormed in, eyes wild and frantic. Panic washed over Maya, her heart racing. Eli moved protectively in front of his son, a fierce look etched on his face. What the hell? Where is she? a voice barked. It was sharp, demanding. The leader ripped off their hood, revealing a familiar face, Xavier, a name that made Maya's blood run cold. He was from her past, someone she thought she'd left behind. Xavier sneered at Maya, his presence sucking the warmth from the air. You didn't think you could just vanish, did you? The past always catches up. His eyes flickered to Eli and his son, evaluating them like they were pieces on a chessboard. What do you want? Maya's voice trembled, but she pushed through the fear. Eli turned slowly, confusion mingling with anger. His son gazed at Maya, bewildered, like she transformed into a stranger. Xavier stepped closer, invading her space. Just a quick chat, Maya. You owe me, and I'm here to collect. Maya's stomach twisted. Memories flooded back. Dark nights, whispered promises, and debts that never seemed to disappear. I don't owe you anything. I'm done with you. But Xavier only laughed. It was a sound that echoed like thunder in the room. Not yet. You think your new life gives you power? All this? He gestured dismissively around. You really think you're safe? Eli's brow furrowed as he tried to grasp the situation, while his son went pale, eyes darting between the two. This was not the dream he had envisioned when he began lessons. I'll make sure your past doesn't sink this ship you've built, Maya. Xavier leaned in closer, a wolf in sheep's clothing. Because if it does, we both know what will happen next. A hush fell over the room, like a heavy fog. Everyone held their breath. Maya felt like the ground had slipped away beneath her. Stay away from me, she shouted, fists clenched, trying to mask the fear spiraling within. But then Xavier grinned, revealing a piece of paper from his pocket. You don't have a choice after all. You think they'll let me go easy on you? He waved the paper like a flag of war. You're being watched, and so is he. He pointed at Eli's son. Remember that. I will be back, Maya. With that, he stepped back, motioning for his crew. They retreated out the door, leaving a heavy silence in their wake. Maya stood frozen, heart racing, shaking slightly. What had just happened? Had her past just shattered the future she was building? Eli's grip tightened on his son's shoulder. Who the hell was that? His voice was low, barely controlled. Maya looked at them, realizing the full weight of what she had uncovered, the darkness that could unearth their lives. And just like that, everything she knew teetered on the edge. The music that once held beauty now felt like a ticking clock. Would they ever be free? As the remnants of Xavier's threat lingered in the air, Maya felt a cold dread sink its claws into her heart. Eli stood rigid, jaw clenched, as if straining against the rising tide of chaos. His son's wide eyes darted between them, the weight of uncertainty settling like a fog. Are we really safe? Eli's voice trembled, echoing the questions racing through Maya's mind. But the quiet desperation in his tone curdled her stomach. Just when she thought her past was distanced, it came crashing back, cloaked in shadows and hidden motives. Eli, she began, but before she could delve deeper, a cacophony erupted outside. The distant sirens wailed, but this was different. A chorus of shouts, punctuated by the unmistakable sound of shattering glass. What is happening? Eli's voice increased in urgency, and Maya's heart out on the street. Chaos unfurled. A crowd of onlookers gathered, their faces a blend of shock and horror. Then she spotted it, a car, crumpled against the lamppost, smoke billowing from the hood, shining like a signal flare in the night. And then, amidst the chaos, something caught her eye. Someone staggered from the wreckage, blood trickling down their face. Maya's breath caught. No, it can't be! It was Sarah, Eli's business partner, her face pale with fear and frantic determination. She limped toward the gathering crowd, desperation in her eyes. Eli turned, confusion darkening his features. Sarah, what are you doing here? Maya felt a lump in her throat as she watched Sarah reach the edge of the crowd, struggling to keep upright. Ellie, it's your father! He's been... The words hung in the air, heavy and pregnant with meaning. Before she could finish, a figure rushed towards Sarah from behind, rough hands grasping her shoulders. Maya! Sarah's voice quaked. We have to get out now! You have no idea! The words erupted from her, filled with urgency that resonated deep in Maya's gut. And then it happened. Just as the beating of their hearts synced into chaos, a powerful explosion rocked the street. Maya stumbled backward, the force pushing her to the ground. She felt the reverberation deep in her bones. The air filled with debris, choking dust blurring her vision. She coughed, panic surging like a storm. People screamed and scattered. Eli! She shouted, but her voice felt small against the roar of confusion. She blinked against the smoke as she crawled towards him, her heart racing erratically. Fear gripped her, tightening its iron fists around her throat. What just happened? As if responding to the chaos, Eli pulled his son closer, eyes filled with newfound fear. What's going on? The tremor in his voice betrayed him. But just then, in the haze, someone stepped through the smoke, a tall, imposing figure. The crowd shrank back, their faces contorted in shock. When the figure emerged, Maya's breath caught again. Xavier, she whispered, horrified. But he was different now. A twisted smile stretched across his face, eyes gleaming like shards of ice. Surprise! He shouted, that familiar taunting tone sending chills racing down her spine. You thought you could slip away, didn't you? This is all part of my plan. What the hell are you talking about? Eli shouted, his voice laced with fury. Xavier shrugged. A nonchalant gesture that sent waves of unease through the air. This is just the beginning. After tonight, nothing will be the same. Your family? He laughed, sharp and delightfully cruel. They've crushed me for too long. It's time for payback. And you're all caught in the crossfire. Panic exploded throughout the onlookers as sirens blared louder. But for Maya, the world froze. The pieces clicked into place with stunning clarity. The fight wasn't just personal anymore. It was a war painted in shades of betrayal. As the gravity of his words sunk in, a terrifying realization washed over her. Her family, the secrets, her ambitions, everything was now part of Xavier's twisted game. Their lives, once paths forged from hope, now lay ensnared in webs of vengeance. And just when she thought it couldn't get worse, through the smoke, she caught a glimpse of Eli's son. His face pale, eyes wide, innocence shattering as he stared at the unfolding nightmare. Maya! Eli's grip tightened on her arm. "What do we do now?" But before she could answer, the night erupted into chaos once more, leaving them teetering on the edge of truth and destruction. With Xavier's laughter echoing in the distance, uncertainty gripped her heart tighter than ever. What would happen next? Could any of them escape the dark storm brewing on the horizon? As the smoke thickened, swirling like a live creature, Maya felt the ground shift beneath her. Eli clutched his son tighter. Their expressions twisted between shock and fear. Xavier's twisted grin haunted her, but deep down, a fiery determination began to churn. They had to escape this chaos. Without warning, a loud crack split the air. The front window shattered in a spray of glass, and a cry rang out. A figure leaped into the room, blocking Maya's view of what lay outside. It was a man, tall and broad-shouldered, disheveled, but undeniably powerful. He wore a long coat that fluttered behind him like a cape as he moved with purpose. "Get down," he shouted, his voice booming over the gasps of the crowd. He pushed Maya aside, taking her by surprise. She stumbled, but quickly regained her footing. "Who are you?" Eli shouted, his protective instinct kicking in. The man didn't answer, but instead focused on the chaos spilling in from outside. "Xavier," the man barked, his tone fierce and commanding. "You have no idea what you're playing with." The sound of sirens wailed louder now, drowning out the hollow screams and panic erupting in the crowd. Chaos consumed the room. The air pulsed with tension, and in the next instant, it all erupted. Xavier, looking ready to pounce, recoiled for a moment, confusion flickering across his face. "You don't belong here, Nick," he spat. Maya's heart raced as Nick's intense gaze zeroed in on her, and suddenly she was gripped by a wave of recognition. Memories flooded back, hazy childhood flashes of laughter, of whispers in the dark, and a boy who once shared her dreams before they were torn apart by harsh realities. "Nick," she breathed, the name feeling foreign on her tongue yet familiar. He turned, eyes wide, shock mingling with relief. "Maya, I didn't know," but before he could finish, the ground trembled. A loud bang echoed from the street, and suddenly a flash of light exploded. The scene shifted into a dizzying array of chaos. People screamed. ... The smoke roared. It felt like the world was shattering. A second explosion surged from the wrecked car outside, sending flames licking skyward, a fireball illuminating the darkness. Maya felt heat brush her skin, and for a moment, time stood still. Eli yanked his son close, terror etched across his face. In that chaotic moment, a figure lurched out of the smoke. An old man staggered forward, face bloodied and eyes wild. "You! I know who you are!" he shouted, pointing a trembling finger at Maya. "You'll destroy us all!" Maya's stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" she shouted back, fear mingling with confusion. What was happening? But before he could respond, Nick rushed forward, pushing her behind him. "Stay back!" he warned the old man. The atmosphere shifted again. Suddenly, all eyes were on this stranger spouting accusations. "Your family! They're the reason this is happening!" the man yelled, voice hoarse. "You're tied to the wreckage of lives, Maya! To the darkness that buried my son!" "What?" Maya's voice trembled. Shock crashed over her like a tidal wave. "What are you talking about?" The man coughed, glaring at Xavier, whose wicked grin tightened with anticipation. "Your mother caused a curse that shattered futures. You don't know what blood runs through your veins." Maya swayed, the weight of his words hitting her like a slap. Her mind raced, trying to piece together the fragments. Past whispers and hidden truths spun through her head. Could it really be true? Before she could grasp the full implications, another explosion rocked the street. A wave of heat pushed against them, forcing the onlookers back. Panic erupted anew. Eli gripped her arm, urgency flashing in his eyes. "We need to go, now!" But the old man staggered closer, desperation in his voice. "You don't know the truth." "What truth?" she shouted over the chaos, feeling her grip on reality slipping. Everything she thought she knew was disintegrating, unraveling like a frayed rope. Then Nick turned to her, eyes filled with a mixture of fear and fierce resolve. "Maya, it's time to find out who you really are." Just as she opened her mouth to respond, yet another figure emerged from the smoke, this time from behind Nick, cloaked by shadows, a face both familiar and foreign. It sent chills down her spine. Her breath caught at the realization. She recognized this person, someone she never thought she would encounter again. The truth was crashing in, but as the flames flickered wildly against the darkened sky, uncertainty hung heavy in the air. Who could she trust? And what secrets lay still hidden, waiting to be uncovered? The night felt alive, and Maya's heart pounded. The game had only just begun. Maya felt time slow down as Nick faced Xavier. She could see the fury in both their gazes. "You think this is about you?" Nick's voice boomed, drowning out the chaos around them. "You've underestimated her, Xavier. You don't know what you're messing with." Xavier laughed, a harsh sound that pricked at their nerves. "You have no idea how deep this goes. The shadows of your family's past are hungry." Maya's heart raced. The adrenaline pulsed through her veins. "Enough!" she shouted, her voice breaking through. "My past can't define my future anymore. You think scaring me will work?" Then the old man stepped forward again, his voice cracking with urgency. "Maya, we don't have time. If you don't confront the truth, they'll come for you. It always ends the same." Eli grabbed Maya's arm, pulling her closer. "We can deal with this together. You're not alone anymore." His eyes were fierce, determination etched in every line of his face. "What if I can't face it?" Maya whispered, the weight of uncertainty pressing on her. "Then we stand together," Eli replied, his grip firm, reassuring. "We fight back." Suddenly, another loud explosion echoed in the distance, shaking the ground beneath them. Panic surged as flames leapt into the sky, bright and consuming. The crowd screamed, eyes wide with terror. "Run!" Nick shouted, grabbing Maya's hand. "We need to go, now!" She didn't hesitate. They tore through the chaos, weaving past frozen faces and scattering people, the screams echoing around them like a haunting melody. As they raced towards the back, Maya held tight to Eli's son, his wide eyes filled with fear and confusion. "What's happening?" he cried, barely keeping up. "We'll explain later," Eli called back, urgency driving him. They fled toward the alley, the smoke curling around them, choking the night air. But then, even amidst the urgent escape, Maya felt it. A flicker, a whisper of doubt. What if they find us? What if I'm not strong enough? Shh, Eli soothed, glancing back, his expression one of urgency mixed with faith. You are stronger than you know. They rounded a corner just as sirens blared louder, flashing lights painting the alley in red and blue. The police were closing in. Maya knew this was the moment. The choice to stand firm against the unbearable weight of her past was here. "What are we going to do?" the son asked, voice trembling. Maya kneeled, meeting his gaze. "We're going to face this together. I won't run anymore." And in that moment, the resolve ignited inside her. They regrouped, the three of them, forming a tight circle. Nick stood beside her, fierce determination radiating from him, ready to protect. Suddenly, the old man appeared again, his face lined with urgency. "You need to confront Xavier. Don't let him manipulate you any longer. Face your family's legacy, or it will consume you." Maya looked around at the faces, the uncertainty sewn deep. "Together," she said, voice steady now, "we will confront the truth." As they moved, she felt the weight shift. Hope flickered like a dim light, but somewhere in the back of her mind, shadows loomed, and the question danced. Would they untangle the web of deception, or be consumed by it? Just as they reached the alley's end, something cracked behind them, louder than the chaos before. Maya turned, fear rippling down her spine. And then, a familiar face appeared from the smoke. Xavier, eyes blazing with fury, a front row seat to their reckoning. "You think this ends here?" he bellowed, a twisted smile curling his lips. Maya took a breath, every heartbeat echoing with the weight of choices yet to come. The battle would be hard, but this was the moment she would no longer fear. Her past, her truth, would finally collide with the present. You have to subscribe now. Hit that red button so you don't miss the next exclusive story. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your thoughts and theories about this wild ending. And don't wait even a second longer to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this. Your support matters.